Level 1. The Conscript. You are 19 years old. You are standing in a muddy village square somewhere in rural France, and a local official is reading names off a list. Your name is on it. Under the Jourdan Law of 1798, every unmarried man between 18 and 25 is eligible for military service. The way it works is simple. The mayor uses the local birth register to compile a list of every young man in the commune who has just turned 19. You report to the cantonal seat. You draw a number in a lottery. If your number is low, you are in. If your number is high, you might go home. But there is a catch. If you are wealthy or your family has money, you can pay a replacement to go in your place. These replacements are called remplaçants, and they are usually poorer men who need the cash. So the rich kid from the nice house down the road stays home, and the farmer's son goes to war. Before you are accepted, a doctor checks your height. The minimum is 5 feet 1 inch. If you are shorter than that, you walk free. If you are tall enough, congratulations. You belong to France now. You get no real training. You are handed a musket, a pack, and a pair of shoes that probably do not fit, and you are marched toward a depot to join your regiment. You do not get to finish the harvest. You do not get to say goodbye properly. In some villages, families hold funerals for men who have been conscripted because everyone knows the odds. Draft evasion is rampant. Men flee into the mountains, burn their identification papers, and hide with relatives. Napoleon's police hunt them relentlessly, but you did not run. The commune has filled its quota, and you are part of it. Level 2. The Private. Your official title is Fusilier, and your life is misery on legs. You march. That is the core of your existence. On a good day, you cover 15 to 20 miles. On a forced march, you cover more, and men collapse along the road behind you. Your daily ration is supposed to be about 1.5 pounds of bread, a portion of meat, and a liter of wine or beer. In practice, the supply wagons rarely keep up. The bread, when you get it, is often hardtack made from rye flour, twice baked and infested with weevils. You learn to eat it in the dark so you do not see what is crawling in it. When rations fail entirely, you forage. That is a polite word for stealing food from the villages you pass through. Napoleon's armies are famous for living off the land, and that sounds romantic until you realize it means you are the one kicking in a barn door at dawn, looking for anything to eat. Disease kills far more of you than enemy fire. Dysentery, typhus, and infections from minor wounds tear through the ranks. Your uniform is ill-fitting and often threadbare. You sleep on the ground, sometimes in rain, sometimes in snow. You share a campfire with 7 other men, and together you are a mess group. You cook what you can find. A good day is when someone finds a chicken. A bad day is when you boil shoe leather and pretend it is soup. You have almost no training before your first battle. Most new soldiers learn their trade under live fire. You stand in a line 3 ranks deep, fire your musket in the general direction of the enemy, reload, and fire again. The smoke is so thick you can barely see. The man next to you drops. You close the gap. That is the job. How do you get promoted? You stay alive, and you do not run. Level 3. The Corporal. You survived long enough to be noticed. Your regimental commander has appointed you caporal, and now you have the smallest scrap of authority in the entire army. You are responsible for a section of men, usually around 12 to 15 soldiers. You make sure they are where they are supposed to be. You check their weapons, you manage their rations. You are the first link in the chain of command, and you are still standing in the firing line right beside them. About 1/3 of corporals in Napoleon's army are illiterate. The ones who can read have a quiet advantage because paperwork matters even in a war zone. Your pay is slightly better than a private's, but only slightly. You eat the same bread and drink the same sour wine. The difference is responsibility. When a man in your section deserts, it reflects on you. When a man in your section gets drunk and starts a brawl, you answer for it. You are not a leader in any grand sense. You are a supervisor with a musket. But this is the first step. If you keep your men in line and keep yourself alive, the company commander might start looking at you for the next rung, and the next rung changes everything. Level 4. The Sergeant. This is the dividing line. To become a sergeant, you almost always need to be literate. You need to be able to read orders, keep records, and handle the paperwork that keeps a company functioning. The company commander selects you personally, and he is looking for 2 things: proven command ability and the ability to read and write. Only about 1/4 of privates in the Grande Armée are literate, so if you can put pen to paper, you already stand out. Many privates skip the rank of corporal entirely and are promoted straight to sergeant because the army needs literate men that badly. Sergeants are the backbone of Napoleon's army. You enforce discipline, you organize the marches, you keep the company moving when officers are killed. You are the one who wakes the men before dawn, counts heads, and reports who is missing. You are the institutional memory of the unit. New officers arrive from somewhere else and know nothing about the men. You know everything. And here's the number that should get your attention. By the time Napoleon is emperor, roughly 3/4 of all officers in the French army are former sergeants. The revolution smashed the old system where noble birth guaranteed a commission. Now, merit and survival are what matter. You are standing at the doorway that leads from enlisted man to officer, and the men above you walked through that same door. Your pay improves, your rations improve, but only a little. What changes most is respect. Officers listen to you because you know things they do not. You know which men will hold and which will run. You know who is sick and hiding it. You are the one keeping the machine running. Level 5, the lieutenant. You cross the line. You are an officer now. Under Napoleon's system, there are two ways this happens. Half of company-grade officers are promoted through selection by the commanding officer. The other half are chosen by election, meaning the soldiers themselves vote for the man they want leading them. This system of election by the troops gradually fades over the years, but it occurs in isolated cases as late as 1812. Either way, you are now a sous-lieutenant or lieutenant, and your world has changed. You wear an epaulet, you carry a sword, you lead a platoon within the company, and you lead from the front. That last part is critical, because officer casualty rates in Napoleon's army are brutal. You are visible. You are a target. You are the man standing at the head of the formation when the volley comes, and the enemy knows that killing you throws your platoon into confusion. Your background may surprise people. Over half of Napoleon's officers come from the bourgeoisie, a third come from the petty bourgeoisie, a smaller number come from the peasantry, but they are there. And roughly a sixth still come from the old nobility, men whose families have served in the army for generations. The revolution opened the door, and Napoleon kept it open, at least on paper. The old saying in the army is that every French soldier carries the baton of a marshal in his knapsack. Standing here, with a lieutenant's commission and mud on your boots, that saying does not feel like a fantasy, it feels like a dare. Level 6, the captain. You command a company. That means roughly 80 to 120 men depend on you for their orders, their food, their discipline, and their survival. Under the old regime, becoming a captain often required a significant financial outlay because commissions were bought and sold. Under Napoleon, it requires results. You are responsible for everything your company does and fails to do. You train your men, you manage your sergeants, and you lead in battle. You also handle administration, pay, supply requests, and reports to your battalion commander. You are a middle manager in a system where failure gets people killed. This is the rank where most promoted sergeants used to hit a ceiling under the old monarchy. Before the revolution, a common saying in the army was that a man was born either to be a colonel or to be a captain, meaning your birth determined how high you could climb. That ceiling is gone now, but the job is harder than ever because Napoleon's wars never stop, and your company is always short on men, short on food, and being marched toward the next battle before the last one is even cold. If your company performs well, your colonel notices. If your company falls apart, your colonel notices that too, and everything rises from there. Level 7, the colonel. Your regiment is your world. A colonel in Napoleon's army commands anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 men depending on the regiment's strength, and that strength fluctuates constantly because war eats men alive. You appoint the corporals and sergeants below you. You set the tone, the discipline, and the culture of the entire regiment. Before the revolution, the average age of promotion to colonel for high-ranking nobles was 36. They reached this rank quickly because of birth, connections, and family wealth. Under Napoleon, you can reach colonel without noble blood, but you need years of service, battlefield results, and enough luck to survive the journey. By 1811, the rule states that a soldier needs at least 8 years of service before becoming a second lieutenant, and the climb from there to colonel takes years more. Your regiment carries an eagle, the sacred standard given by Napoleon himself, and losing it in battle is a disgrace that can end careers. Men will die trying to protect it. Men will die trying to capture the enemies. You are also a political figure now. Colonels interact with generals and staff officers. Your reputation matters. A regiment that performs well reflects on you. A regiment that breaks and runs is your failure. And Napoleon remembers failures. Level 8, the general. There are 2 tiers here, and both are reached by selection only, never by seniority alone. First is the General de Brigade, commanding a brigade of multiple regiments, usually several thousand men. Above that is the General de Division, commanding a full division of 10,000 or more. This is the highest permanent military rank in Napoleon's army. Promotion to general is entirely at the discretion of Napoleon and his senior commanders. One brilliant action on the battlefield can vault you here. One mistake can destroy you. Napoleon is known for promoting young and talented officers at extraordinary speed. He himself was a general at 24. But he is equally known for stripping commands from generals who fail him. You live and die by results. At this level, you are no longer just fighting. You are planning, coordinating, maneuvering divisions across miles of terrain, reading maps by candlelight, anticipating enemy movements, and making decisions that determine whether thousands of men live or die before breakfast. More than three-quarters of Napoleon's generals served in the pre-revolutionary army. Between 20 and 30% are titled nobles. The Old World and the New World collide at this rank. An aristocrat who survived the revolution sits in the same war council as a former sergeant who clawed his way up from nothing. What matters now is whether you can win. Level 9. The Old Guard. This is not a rank. It is a status, and it sits outside the normal chain of command, like a world within a world. The Old Guard are the elite of the elite, the most prestigious formation in the entire Grande Armée. To be considered, you need at least 10 years of military service, though that requirement is sometimes lowered when losses mount. You need a citation for bravery. You need to be literate, and you need to be tall, at least 5 feet 8 inches, at a time when the average Frenchman stands around 5 feet 3. If you meet every requirement and are selected, you enter a different army. Your pay is considerably higher than any other unit. Your rations are the best available. Your quarters are the best the army can find. Your uniforms are sharp, distinctive, and well-fitted, with tall black bearskin caps that make you even more imposing. When your column marches down a road, every other regiment in the army is required to clear the way, dip their colors, and sound a salute on fife and drum. You render honors to no one except the emperor himself. Even lowly privates in the Old Guard are addressed as monsieur by officers. And here is the strangest privilege of all. You are allowed to complain. The Old Guard grenadiers are called les grognards, the grumblers, because they openly gripe about the small annoyances of military life, sometimes directly to Napoleon. No other unit in the army is permitted to do this. In return for these privileges, you are expected to be unbreakable. Napoleon holds the Old Guard in reserve for the critical moment of a battle, then unleashes them like a hammer blow against the enemy's weakest point. He almost never risks them early. He saves them for the moment that decides everything. The average age of a soldier in the Old Guard is 35. You have survived more campaigns than most men survive years. The sight of your bearskin caps advancing through the smoke is enough to make enemy formations waver before you fire a single shot. At Waterloo, the Old Guard is the last formation Napoleon sends forward. When they finally break and fall back for the first time in their history, the entire French army collapses behind them. The immortals were mortal after all. Level 10. The Marshal. You made it. You are a marshal of the empire, and you are standing at the very top of Napoleon's military world. This is a civil dignity, not technically a military rank, but it carries 4 silver stars compared to a general's 3, and it is the most prestigious title a soldier can hold. Napoleon creates 26 marshals in total between 1804 and 1815. The first batch of 18 is appointed when he crowns himself emperor. Some of these men come from aristocratic families. Others come from almost nothing. Masséna is the son of a shopkeeper. Lannes is the son of a stable hand. Augereau is the son of a servant. Lefebvre is the son of a miller. Ney is the son of a barrel maker. Murat, the flashiest of them all, is the son of an innkeeper, and he will become the king of Naples. Bernadotte, another marshal, will become the king of Sweden, and his descendants sit on that throne to this day. You carry a golden baton as the symbol of your authority, and you command entire armies in the field. The best of them are extraordinary. Davout, the Iron Marshal, is virtually never defeated. Lannes is Napoleon's closest friend among the marshals and fights with reckless bravery until a cannonball shatters both his legs at the Battle of Aspern-Essling. 3 marshals are killed in action. Several more are wounded dozens of times. Oudinot collects 34 battle wounds over his career and lives to 81. But the marshals are also jealous, ambitious, and difficult. They refuse to cooperate when placed under each other's command. They bicker over glory and territory. Napoleon showers them with money, titles, and estates to keep them loyal, but he knows the truth. His empire rests on their swords, and their swords can always turn. When the end comes, most of them abandon him. They swear allegiance to the restored Bourbon king and walk away. Only 4 marshals stand with Napoleon at Waterloo. The baton in your hand gave you wealth, power, and a place in history, but it never gave you peace. Napoleon once said that every French soldier carries a marshal's baton in his knapsack. The journey from that muddy village square to the top of the Grande Armée proves that the promise was real. A peasant's son could become a general, and many did, but the cost was everything. Roughly 2.5 million Frenchmen were drafted under Napoleon, and at least 1 million of them never came home. For every marshal who became a king, there were 100,000 conscripts who became nothing more than a name on a list that nobody read. That is the truth of the Grande Armée. The ladder was real, the glory was real, and so was the price. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Looney Throne for more, and if you want to keep going, there's another video on screen right now that's even better.